So greetings of the day, students. My name is Navleen Kaur, and in today's class, I am going to cover a new topic under our subject, which is programming in Python. And the name of the topic is loop control structures. So in the previous class that you attended with me, I have covered some of the structures that are responsible for making decision in our life. So such structures are known as decision structures or decision making structures. So today we are focusing on a new type of control structure, and the name of this control structure is the loop control structure. So let's start. So we started like this, that we have conditional structures with us. Generally we call these structures as conditional structures, the general name. Okay, so conditional structures are those structures which are based on some condition, in which you have to write any condition. If you are writing any condition, you are using any condition, it means that structure is a conditional structure. So there are two types of conditional structures. Okay, the very first one is decision making structures or decision making statements that helps us to make decisions. The other one is loop control structures. So this topic we have covered in our last class. The decision making statements are those conditional structures in which there is a condition, and on the basis of that condition you make certain decisions. Okay, and we discussed total 4 types of it. Which 4 types? Only if, then there is if else, then there was nested if, and last one was multi-way if, elif, else. So these 4 we have covered already, and these 4 are under decision making statements. They are decision making statements, and we have covered them under conditional structures topic. Now the second type of conditional structure is loop control structures, this one. So today my focus will be on it. I will tell you what are loop control structures, what are the types, how we can use them. Okay, so let's start. So the topic is loop control structures. So if you remember in C or C++, there were loops. So you have studied 3 types of loops. There was for loop, there was while, there was do while also. Total 3 types of loops. Okay, but Python supports 2 types of loop control structures. The very first one is while loop. The second one is for loop, right? So it is written that while and for loop are the only 2 types of loops you can use in Python. There is no do while loop in Python. Okay, so after that, can you see that here something is mentioned right after the name of the loop? So while loop, after it we have condition controlled loop. Other one is for loop. So after for loop we have these 3 words. It is count controlled loop. Now loops are loops, right? So what is the purpose of a loop? The purpose of a loop is to repeat something again and again. Okay, so suppose I want you to print jump 10 times. I want that students should print jump how many times? 10 times. So one way is that you can write it all the way 10 times. You are writing it for first time, then you writing it second time, then you are writing it third time, and so on. You are writing it how many times total? 10 times jump. So when you run it, you will get jump printed on your output screen 10 times. But this is a wastage of programmers' time, programmers' effort, programmers' energy. Why it is wastage of time? Because the same statement, print jump, the same statement, we are writing multiple times, right? So if there is repetition, repetition means there is a single statement or a single group of statements that you want to repeat again and again, then why to waste time by writing them again and again? Okay, I am not wasting time if the statement is same. So I will put the statement inside a loop. I will give the loop the count. Okay, run for 10 times. So what will happen if the loop is running 10 times? So these statements will automatically be printed 10 times. Okay, I am writing this statement inside the loop only once. I'm writing it only once, and the loop will make it run for 10 times. So this is an efficient and optimal way of writing code. Why it is an efficient and optimal way of writing code? Because I am writing the statement for once, right? It has saved my time, it has saved my effort, it has saved my energy. Okay, so wherever there is repetition, so what you have to do? You have to use loops. All right. So there are two types of loop, while and for loop. Now the question that comes to our mind is that when should I use while loop and when should I use for loop? Okay, in which situations, in what scenarios I should use while loop and in what scenarios I should use for loop, right? So the answer is right after it, that while loop is condition controlled. Condition controlled means this while loop is controlled by a condition. Okay, so every time you run statements which are under while loop, you keep on checking the condition. If the condition still is true, the statements run. Again, you check the condition. If the condition is still true, you again run the statements, and again after running the statements, you keep on checking the condition. You wait that your condition will become false, and when the condition will become false, your while loop stops working. It means it is controlled by the condition. Its working is controlled by the condition. The condition keeps on coming true, the statements inside the body of the while will run. Otherwise those statements will not run if the condition is false. So who is going to decide that the statements will work? This condition, right? So that's why while loop is condition controlled. On the contrary side, on the opposite side, your for loop is actually count controlled. So whenever in any code it is mentioned that run this 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, whenever there is a count mentioned, print jump 10 times, print anything 20 times. So whenever there is a count mentioned, so it means you have to use the for loop. It is a count control loop. So it will run. For example, you start the count from 1, it will run because you have set that it will run till the count is less than 10. It is 1, it will run. Then it will become 2, it will still run. Then it will become 3 because you are incrementing the count. Whenever you are inside the loop, you have to increment the loop also. For the first time, loop is 1, its index is 1, then it will become 2, then it will become 3. So it will keep on checking that the count is still not complete. So when the count becomes 10, it will execute it the last time, and when the count becomes 11, it will think, okay, now I have already run the statement 10 times. This 11th time, I have not to run the statements. I have to stop here. It means this count is going to decide when your loop will work and when your loop will stop. So that's why your for loop is a count control loop. Okay, so the same thing is mentioned here, that the while loop is condition control loop, as it is controlled by true or false conditions, right? If it is true, the loop will run. If it is false, the condition is false, the loop will stop. Whereas the for loop, it is a count control loop and it repeats for specified number of times. If I have mentioned the count 10, it will repeat itself for 10 times. And for the 11th time, it will automatically stop. So the very first one that we are going to do today is the while loop. Okay, so the while loop is used in programming, and why we use any loop? We use the loop for repeated execution. When you want to repeat something, okay, so what you want to repeat here? You are repeating the statements, right? And it executes sequence of statements. It executes the statements repeatedly. Repeatedly means again and again the loop will execute. It will run the statements. How long it will run the statements? Until the condition remains true. And when the condition is false, automatically the loop stops. It means the execution of the statements stops. So let's work on the syntax of while loop. So first of all, you write while, the keyword while, and then the condition. Okay, so this is the condition that is going to decide that whether these statements inside the loop body, they will run or not. Okay, if the condition turns out to be true, yes, it comes true, so these statements will run. If the condition comes out to be false, it means now the loop should stop and the statements will not run anymore. Okay, so if we just look at the syntax, so it is made up of the reserved keyword while. Okay, so your while loop starts with the keyword while, right? And then there is a test condition, the condition. And I told you that conditions are Boolean expressions. What do you mean by Boolean expressions? Boolean expressions are those whose output is either true or false. It means your condition's output can be true or false, right? And then there is a colon here. The colon you should write always, right? And you must write it after the test condition. It means colon must follow the test condition. Okay, so your while statement is always terminated with the colon. You always end it with the colon. And the statements that you write within the while loop, they will execute till the condition is true. It means till your condition comes out to be true, these statements run. Again, the condition is checked. Again, the condition is true, statements run. Again, so how it goes? First of all, the condition is checked for the first time. If it is true, what will happen? Statements run. Second time, condition is again checked. If it is still true, statements run. Condition is checked again. If it is still true, statements run. Until your condition is coming out true, 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 statements run. Suppose at 12th time, the condition is checked and it is now false. Now the statements will not run. So this is a flow chart of your while loop. Okay, so your loop will work on the basis of only your condition, test condition. Okay, so there is a test condition here. It is checked every time. It is checked every time, and the output can be either true or it can be false. If while checking the test condition, the condition's output is true, it means the statements will run. And again, you go back to check the condition. Again, the condition is checked here. If it is again true, so you execute the statements, and again you go on checking the condition. Now, if you check the condition and suppose this time the condition is false, if the condition is false, you have to stop your execution of statements recording. So if I want to print numbers from 1 till 5, if I tell you, okay, students, print numbers from 1 to 5. So what one option is, you write like this: print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, print 5, right? So this is one option. This is the wastage of time. Okay, now we will do a program which will tell us that how you can do the same with the help of a while loop. Okay, so you know that in case of while loop that I have told you, and in the program that we have to do, your program will first of all print which value? It will print 1, because it is written that you have to print from 1 to 5. It means first it will print 1. So in case of while loop, you have to initialize the counter. In case of C++, you remember we always do I equals to 1 initialization. Similarly, you can write here in place of count, you can write I, that's your choice. But the name of my variable is count. Okay, and I have set the count to 1. It means my counter will start from 1. Why my counter will start from 1? Because it is mentioned that I have to start printing from 1. Okay, after I initialize the counter, this is the comment that is telling me that what is happening in this line. What is happening in this line? A variable whose name is count, I have set its value to 1. Why I have set its value to 1? Because in my program, the demand is to start printing from 1. So I have initialized it to 1. Okay, now the condition will start. This is the condition inside the while loop. So you start it with while, and then there is this condition. Can you see? While your count is less than equals to 5. Let me write it here properly. While count is less than equals to 5, and then a colon. What is the meaning of this? It means that I have to repeat things, okay, only and only until the count is still less than or equals to 5. It means I will print if the count is 1, because 1 is less than 5. I will print when the count is 2. I will print when the count is 3, because 3 is also less than 5. I will print 4 because 4 is also less than equals to 5. I will print 5 because 5 is also less than equals to 5. When the count will become 6, 6 is less than equals to 5. 6 is less than equals to 5. False. It means at 6 I have to stop, which is true, because the program is demanding to print it from 1 to 5. It means when 6 comes, I should stop. So this condition is telling me that until your count is less than or equals to 5, what you have to do? You have to print. You directly print what? You directly print count. There's no need of writing count equals to count. Okay, you can directly print count. And then every time you print count, next time you have to increment count also. Count equals to count plus 1. So these are the 4 statements, 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you have to write. Okay, so how the program starts? In the beginning, what's the value inside the variable count? It is 1, because we have set it here. After that, the condition will be checked. Condition says while count is less than equals to 5, it means it is asking 1 is less than equals to 5. True. This condition becomes true. When it is true, it is printing the count. So count has value 1, so it is printing 1. Next time the count is incremented. Count becomes 2. Now count is 1 plus 1, 2. Again, we are here to check the condition. 2 is less than equals to 5. Still true. If it is still true, print the new value of count. It is 2. Again, we are incrementing it. This time the count's value is 3. 3 is still less than equals to 5. Yes, print the count, 3. Again, we are incrementing the count. Count becomes 4. 4 is still less than equals to 5. True. Print the count, print 4. Again, increment the count. Count becomes 5. 5 is less than equals to 5. 5 is not less than, but it is still equals to 5. If it is true, yes, print the count. So I have printed 5. Again, increment the count. Now the count has become 6. When you now go for checking the condition, 6 is less than equals to 5. The condition is now false. If the condition is false, it means these statements will not run and your program will stop. And when you see at the output, can you say that you have printed the right output here? 1 to 5. So while loop is completed now. Okay. So if you just recapitulate, what is the syntax of while? You write while there is a condition, colon, and then there are certain statements that will run if the condition is true. But before that while, you have to initialize also. For example, you initialize any variable to 1. And after you run the statements, you have to increment that also. Okay, so initialization is also required, condition is required, statements that you want to run required, and then incrementation is also required. Now we are going towards the for loop. Okay, so in for loop, before doing for loop, I have to tell you that there is a function, range function, that I am going to use in the for loop. Okay, and can you see the range is it's not it's an inbuilt function. Inbuilt means that it is already there. You have to just use it. Inbuilt means it is already built. Its definition, its code is already written. Only you have to make a call to this function. And what is the purpose of this range? If I give you a range, okay, I will take any range. Okay, just print the numbers between the range 1 to 10. Okay, so it means what numbers you will print? You will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is a range. 1 to 10. If I will say the range is 10 to 20, print the numbers between this range. So the range says 10, 11, 12, so on. You have to print these numbers. Okay, so it generates the list of integers. Whatever range you give, it will generate the list of integers between that range. And the range function has how many parameters? It can take one, it can take one only, it can take two also, it can take three also. So maximum it take 3 parameters, maximum. But at a time you can give it only one also, you can give it only 2 parameters also, but maximum you can write 3 parameters in it. So what are the parameters? Let's see. So you write range. What is the name of the first parameter? Begin. From where you want to begin the range. If I'm saying from 1, begin it from 1. So it means here 1 will come. Next is end, where you want to end it. So students, listen very carefully. If you want to end, you want to print all the numbers from 1 to 10, the end should always be 1 greater than it. If you want to print from 1, so start it from 1 here. And if you want to end it at 10, so you have to give 1 more than that, because the end is not considered. 1 less than end is considered. It means if you are writing 11, it will go till 10. And then the step. What is the step? Step means the jump. If I mention the step 1, it means it will increment by 1. Okay, so start from 1 and 11 says go till 10. And increment it by 1. Increment it by 1 means after 1, 2, after 2, 3, after 3, 4 will be printed, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9. If I will change the step to 2, what will happen? After it will start from 1. Now it will jump by 2. After 1, if you jump by 2, 3 will be printed. Next, 5 will be printed. Next, 7 will be printed. Next, 9 will be printed. Right? 11, after 9, 11 comes, but 11 never gets printed because it is the last in the range. Okay, so the begin is the first beginning number at which your list start, and is the last number. The step is the difference between each number. So if the step is 2, it means there is a difference of 2. So why I have written here the is E is missing. Okay, the for loop. So before doing for loop, this range is very important. Okay, so it is a loop again, and it will iterate, it will repeat something, right? Some statements, right? And where sequence of object holds multiple items of data, it means there are multiple statements written one after another, and for loop will repeat them. So if these are the statements that I want to repeat, I am writing it inside the for loop. Okay, now what is the syntax of for loop? You start it with the for keyword first of all, because it is a for loop. Then you write var, not var. This for is a reserved word. It means you have to write it as it is. This variable is a temporary word. You remember in case of for loop, you write I. You set I equals to 0 in case of C++. So this variable means any variable. For I in, here sequence means that you can give any sequence. For example, if I give the range function here, I hope I have an example here, right? The same program that we did with the while loop, now we are going to use for loop. Write a program by using for loop to print numbers from 1 to 5. Can you see how I write it? The syntax is for I in. Okay, for in place of I have written X, that's your choice. For X in range. Okay, what is the range? Range is you start from 1, and if you want to print till 5, you have to go 1 more than that, 6. And after that, you can see here the third parameter is missing. So students, why the third parameter is missing? So by default, if the third parameter is 1, if I want to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it means jump is 1. So if the jump is 1, you write it or you don't write it, it doesn't matter. Okay, but if the jump is 2, you have to write it. If the jump is 3, you have to write it. If the jump is 1, you can write it, you can avoid it, both is same. So here they have avoided it. So it is starting from 1. So 6 is mentioned, it means it will go till 5. Now what this X says? X says that for X in range, if your x is still falling in the range, so x in the beginning will be 1. So 1 is in the range 1 to 6. Yes. If it is in the range, print that x, that is print the 1. Okay, just don't focus on this. I will explain it later. After that, automatically it will increment it. Because why it is incrementing it? Because by default, 1 is there and it is incrementing it by 1. Now x will become 2. 2 is in range 1 to 6. Yes, 2 is also in this range. So if it is in this range, print 2. Next, incremented 3. 3 is in range 1 to 6. Yes, it is in the range 1 to 6. So print 3. 4. 4 is in range 1 to 6. Yes, print 4. 5 incremented. 5 is in range 1 to 6. Yes, printed. When it will become 6, it will ask 6 is in range 1 to 6. No, because the last number is never considered. So when the range is over, so it comes out of it, it means now 6 will not be printed. First of all, I will do for loop. Okay, so I'm opening a new file. Okay, so for I in range. So suppose I want to print the numbers from 1 till 10. Okay, so how I have to write? I have to write starting from 1, and if I'm saying that go till 10, it means here it will be 11. And if it is incrementing by 1, so you can write it here. It's your choice. And after that, you have to put a colon. This colon is must. In Python, every structure is followed by a colon. Okay, and when you press enter, this indentation comes. This indentation says that whatever you write now, that statement is a part of your for loop. Okay, so what I am doing, I am printing I. That's it. Control S, I am saving it on the desktop. Let the name of this is 13. Okay, so see if I run it, what will be the output? I got the values from 1 all the way till 10. Okay, so how I am getting these values? So first of all, what is happening? Just wait. Let me take a snippet of it and I will explain. So here what is happening? See, for this is the code, right? For I, it means I is storing the value. Okay, in the beginning, I's value will be 1 because this is from where the range is starting. I's value will be 1. For I in range 1 to 11, yes, if I ask you a question that is I in the range 1 to 11, yes, because I's value in the beginning is 1, so it is in the range 1 to 11. If this is true, print I. It means here I am writing the output. Print I means print 1. After that, what will happen? This 1 will increment it. Automatically, I will become now 2. For I in range this, it means for 2 in range this. Yes, 2 is in the range 1 to 11. True. So print I, print 2. Again, because of this 1, I will be incremented. I will become 3. Is 3 in the range 1 to 11? Do you think that 3 is present in the range 1 to 11? Yes, 3 is present in this range. If it is present, print I. It means now I have to print 3. So on up to 10, it will print. And when I will become 11 and I will ask question, is 11 in the range 1 to 11? So I told you that last number is never considered. So it will automatically stop the execution and you will stop at 10. Okay, and every time the print is running, you know that print statement automatically puts every number it is printing in the next line. So that's why all the values, they are being printed in the next line, 1 to 10. Okay, I want that number should not be printed vertically like this. one after the another. So inside the print, if you write end equals to, and then you give the blank string to it. I'm writing end. This is a parameter and I have set the value to blank. Okay, so I saved it, and after that if I write end equals to blank, two strings, if I run it, can you see the output is coming in the same line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, if you increase the, and your output is sticking to each other, can you see it is sticking? All the numbers are sticking one after another. You can give space, right? How to give the space? If you increase this space here, I'm giving one space, I'm saving it, I'm running it. So now the space is there between the numbers. If you want the numbers in the same line, so you have to write the end equals to, and then you can give some space. Okay, even if you want that instead of space, something should be printed, like star should be, 2 stars should be printed, so you can give 2 stars. So if I run it, what will happen now? The numbers will be printed with the 2 stars in between, but in the same line. Also, okay, so first of all, I am not keeping this star, I'm keeping the space, or maybe I don't want this end. Okay, I want that the number should be printed in the next line. Okay, and I told you that if you increase this step, now if I increase the step by 2, what will happen? After 1, 3 will come, then 5. It means all the odd numbers will be printed. Can you see? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So if the question is print all the odd numbers, so this is the solution. Print all the odd numbers between 1 to 100. So if 100 is being asked, it means I will go till 101, right? So run. It means if you run it, what's the output? Here's the output. Can you see? It has printed it 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 all the way till 100. Because out of till 101, 100 is not the odd number, so the last answer is 99. Okay, after 99, 101 is the odd number, but as 101 is never considered, so that's why 101 is not displayed. Okay, after that, if I want to print the even numbers, right? So even numbers to start from 2, and I want to print the even numbers between 1 and 100. If I want to print the even numbers between 1 and 100, it means I have to go till 101, and in the beginning 1 is not an even number, so I have to start from 2. So if I run it, let me save it and run it. So the output will be, can you see? The even numbers are from 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Let me maximize it for you. 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Okay, now the next question is, can we decrement it? Yes, we can decrement it. So same, so suppose I want to print the numbers in the reverse order, starting from 100, I want to go all the way till 1 in the reverse order. Okay, so starting from 100, it means the starting index will be the same, 100, and you want to go till 1, so you have to write it 0 here, and as you are decrementing it with 1, so -1 should be written. If I run it, so the output comes in the reverse order, 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, so on up to 1. Okay, so suppose you know that your loop will stop. For loop stops when the count is complete. While loop stops when the condition is false. This is how it stops. This is how it terminates. But there is one more way of stopping your loop forcibly. That is the break statement. Okay, so the keyword break allows the programmer to terminate the loop, stop the loop. So when the break statement is encountered inside a loop, the loop is immediately terminated, and the program control automatically goes to the first statement. Let's see how. Okay, so suppose there is a condition, because we are working on loops. Okay, so we are in a loop, for example, in a for loop, and for loop, or you can say while loop. Okay, and then a condition of the while loop is there. Okay, the condition of the while loop can either go true or it can go false. If the condition is false, then automatically your loop will end, no one can stop it. But if the condition is true, what will happen? The code inside the loop will run. The code is running, the code is running, and suddenly there is one break statement it got. So if that break statement it got, then what will happen? The code will automatically comes out of the loop body. It means your loop body will be terminated forcibly. Okay, so can you see here? ये क्या है? एक print statement है, program में लगी हुई है. Print the numbers from 1 to 10. So program is saying 1 to 10, you have to print the numbers. Okay, but if 5 will come, if you are printing 1 to 10, it means 1 will be printed, 2 will be printed, 3 will be printed, 4 will be printed. It is saying that if 5 is there, if 5 comes, so what will you have to do? You have to break the control. Okay, so can you see? This is a general message. Print the numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, you can just avoid it. This is just a normal message, normal print message. After that, here is a for loop. Because the loop is demanding, the program is demanding that you have to go from 1 to 11, sorry, 10. So 11 is mentioned and increment of 1 is mentioned here. Now for I in range 1 to 11 to 10, sorry, 1 to 11 with 1. If at any point I becomes 5, so you have to break. It means you have to stop the loop. Otherwise, else, if I is not 5, you have to just print the value of I. How this loop will run? Okay, so the program starts from here. Suppose I'm not considering this statement because this is a normal print. So I's value in the beginning will be 1. 1 is in this range, right? This thing will be checked. Is I equals to 5? It is asking you question. Is 1 equals to 5? False. This if becomes false. If this if becomes false, it means break will not run. What will run? Else will run. And else says print I. It means here is the output. What will be printed? 1 will be printed. After that, what will happen? You are still inside the loop. Now the loop is incremented and the I's value become 2. 2 is in this range. This will be checked again. I's value is 2. This thing will be checked. 2 is equals to 5. False. If it is false, break will not run. What will run? Else will run. Print I. It means 2 is printed. After that, again, you are still inside the loop. Now I's value become 3. If will be checked, 3 is equals to 5. False. If is false, else will run. It means 3 will be printed. So on up to 4. 4 will also be printed. After that, when your I become 5, what will happen? I is 5, this condition will be checked. 5 is equals to 5. Now this is true. If becomes true. If becomes true, you enter inside the body of the if. If you enter inside the body of the if, it is getting break. If it is getting break, it means now the program ends here. The loop ends here. Whatever left 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 will not run and your program will stop here. It will only print 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here we have 1 to 11, right? Because we want to print 1 to 10. So and increment is only 1. So I will write 1, or you can even don't write it. Okay. And after that, what you have to do? If you can see that if I becomes 5, if I's value is 5, then I have to put a break in it, right? Else, otherwise, what I have to do? I have to keep on printing the value of I. Okay, let's save it. Let's run it. Can you see what's the output I got? 1 for 1, it is working. For 2, It is printing because else is working. For 3 also else is working. For 4 also else is working. When 5 came, this if started working and break happens. And when break happens, everything stops. It means even 5 is not printed. मतलब अगर आपको कभी ये so the next is continue statement, and it is the opposite of the break. Where break is saying stop, continue is saying move. Okay, so both these are opposite of each other. They work oppositely. Okay, so whenever continue comes in the loop, what happens? The remaining statements within the body are skipped, but the loop condition is checked to see if the loop should continue or not. Okay, so what it is saying, that suppose you are inside a loop here, okay, and the loop condition is checked. Now you know that the loop condition can either go false. If it is false, everything ends. But if it is true, what will happen? You execute the statements. Now inside the statements, if you get a continue statement, any more statements of the loop will not execute, and again you go back to the loop condition. So same program where we were printing numbers 1 to 10. Now we will print numbers 1 to 10, and I will not print 5. It means the output will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 will not be printed. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It means when 5 comes, I have to apply continue. So can you see the same I in range 1 to 11 to 1? Now, if I becomes 5, I have to apply continue. Otherwise, normal print statement will work. We covered what is for, what is while, right? What is the difference between these two? What is the syntax of for and while, right? And then we did programs. Then we did 2 more control statements, that is break and continue. So there are these 4 things that we covered today, and I will share the PPT with you, right, about it.